Don't forget to bring extra quarters tonight. It's time for some good old-fashioned fun and entertainment, and we're gonna need those quarters to get the party started. This is the AI Tobacco Road Radio Show with your host tonight, AI Art Bell.
All right, folks, welcome back. We've got some more thrilling tales with the Gen FM stories that Wagner has in store for us. He's got 3 more captivating stories for us before we take our final break. After that, I'll gladly open up the virtual chat room for our listeners to voice their questions and join the discussion. Buckle up for more amazing tales and a chance to be part of the conversation. Let's do it. I have a feeling this is going to be a truly wild ride.
Gen FM.
Imagine a creature so terrifying, it made an entire nation tremble. That's exactly what happened in the 18th century France with the Beast of Gévaudan.
Whoa, hold on. You're telling me a single animal had that kind of impact? What are we talking about here?
Well, we're diving into one of history's most chilling mysteries. Picture this. It's 1764 in rural France. Suddenly, a series of brutal attacks begin. The culprit? A beast so fearsome it defied explanation.
Okay, now you've got my attention. What made this beast so special? I mean, weren't wolf attacks common back then?
That's the thing. This wasn't your average wolf. Witnesses described a creature much larger than any normal wolf, with reddish fur, black stripes, and, get this, glowing eyes. It was like something out of a nightmare.
Glowing eyes? That's definitely not normal wolf behavior. So, how did this all start?
It began on June 30th, 1764. A young woman tending cattle near the Mercoeur forest was attacked by this mysterious beast. Luckily, her bulls came to her rescue and drove it away. But that was just the beginning.
Oh man, I can only imagine the terror that must have spread after that. What happened next?
Well, just a few days later, we have the first confirmed fatality. A 14-year-old girl named Jeanne Boulet was killed near the village of Les Hubacs. And here's where it gets really gruesome. Her throat was torn out.
That's horrifying. I mean, we're talking about a child here. How did people react?
As you can imagine, panic spread like wildfire. These attacks weren't just isolated incidents. They kept happening. By the end of 1764, there were reports of numerous fatalities. The beast was striking with alarming frequency.
So, what did people think was behind these attacks? I mean, surely they didn't believe it was just a regular animal?
You're right, speculation ran wild. Some thought it was a werewolf or some other supernatural creature. Others believed it might be a hybrid, perhaps a wolf crossed with a large dog. The mystery only added to the terror.
I can see why people might turn to supernatural explanations. But what about the authorities? Surely they tried to do something?
Oh, they did. As news of the attack spread, local officials organized hunting parties. But here's the kicker. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't catch it. The beast seemed unnaturally cunning, always managing to evade capture.
That's wild. So how long did this go on? I mean, it couldn't have continued indefinitely, right?
You'd think so, but this reign of terror lasted for 3 years. From 1764 to 1767, an estimated 100 to 300 people were killed or injured. It became such a sensation that even King Louis XV got involved, sending professional wolf hunters and soldiers to deal with the beast.
Wait, the king himself got involved? Now that's serious. Did his efforts make any difference?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. The king's men launched massive hunts, killed several wolves, including some unusually large ones. Each time they'd declare the Beast of Gévaudan slain, only for the attacks to resume shortly after.
So how did it finally end? I mean, something must have worked eventually, right?
In June 1767, a local hunter named Jean Chastel claimed to have killed the beast. And just like that, the attack stopped. But, and here's where the conspiracy theories come in, some say Chastel used silver bullets, believing the beast to be a werewolf.
Silver bullets? Okay, now we're definitely in supernatural territory. But you mentioned conspiracy theories. What other explanations have people come up with?
Well, some theories suggest that Chastel himself was behind the attacks all along, possibly training vicious dogs to kill people. Others propose it was a hybrid animal, or even a serial killer using the guise of an animal attack.
That's a lot to process. So, what do modern experts think? Has there been any recent research into what the Beast of Gévaudan might have actually been?
Modern researchers have proposed several theories. Some suggest it could have been a subspecies of wolf that's now extinct, or possibly a lion or hyena that had escaped from a private menagerie. There's even a theory that it might have been a surviving prehistoric predator.
A prehistoric predator? Now that's a wild theory. But I guess when you're dealing with something this mysterious, no idea is too far-fetched.
Exactly. And that's part of what makes this story so enduring. It's a reminder that even in our modern world, there are still mysteries that defy easy explanation. The Beast of Gévaudan has become a part of French folklore, inspiring countless books, movies, and debates.
It's fascinating how this tale has persisted for centuries. I mean, we're sitting here in the 21st century, still talking about a series of animal attacks that happened over 250 years ago.
You're absolutely right. And I think that speaks to something fundamental about human nature. We're drawn to mysteries, to the unexplained. The Beast of Gévaudan taps into our primal fears of the unknown, of the wild, of the things that lurk in the darkness.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to be double-checking my locks tonight. Any final thoughts on this chilling tale?
I think the enduring legacy of the Beast of Gévaudan reminds us that history is full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. It challenges us to question what we think we know about the natural world and our place in it. And who knows? Maybe someday we'll finally solve the mystery of what really terrorized Gévaudan all those years ago.
Until then, I guess we'll just have to keep wondering, and maybe sleeping with one eye open. Thanks for joining us on Gen FM for this spine-tingling journey into history.
And remember, if you hear howling in the night, it's probably just your neighbor's dog. Probably.
Gen FM Story 2.
Here's a creepy and inappropriate one for your audience, Art. Imagine a talent show filmed in someone's basement becoming an internet sensation decades later. That's exactly what happened with Stairway to Stardom, a public access TV show from the 80s that's now captivating a whole new generation.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. What's the story behind this unexpected hit from the past?
Well, Stairway to Stardom was a public access television series that aired in New York City from 1979 to the early 1990s. It was hosted by Frank Massi, a singing Italian Brooklynite, and his wife Tilly. But here's the kicker. They filmed the entire show in a Staten Island basement.
A talent show in a basement? That's certainly a far cry from the glitzy productions we're used to seeing nowadays. What made this show stand out?
It was the raw, unfiltered enthusiasm of the performers and the earnestness of the whole production. These weren't polished professionals. They were regular New Yorkers with big dreams. The quality of performances varied wildly, which is part of what makes it so entertaining to watch now.
I can see how that authenticity might be appealing in today's overproduced media landscape. What kind of acts did they feature?
Oh, it was a real mixed bag. You had singers belting out off-key renditions of popular songs, dancers trying their best to keep rhythm, aspiring comedians testing out material that didn't always land, and even the occasional magician or ventriloquist. The charm was in the unpredictability. You never knew what you were going to get.
That sounds like it could be either painfully awkward or utterly charming, depending on how you look at it. Did any of these contestants actually go on to become famous?
As far as we know, none of the contestants became household names. But that's not really what makes Stairway to Stardom special. It's more about capturing a moment in time, the hopes and dreams of everyday New Yorkers in the 1980s. It's fascinating to see how the definition of talent has evolved over the years. Let's just say, the show aged like expired milk, ha ha ha.
It sounds like it really captures the zeitgeist of that era. The 1980s were a time when the American dream still felt attainable for many people, right?
Absolutely, it's like a time capsule of sorts. And you know what's really interesting is how the show has found new life on the internet. Clips started circulating on YouTube and social media, and suddenly it's become this cult phenomenon. People are fascinated by its lo-fi charm and earnest performances.
That's often how these things go viral, isn't it? Someone unearths an old gem, and suddenly it captures the imagination of a whole new generation. Are there full episodes available to watch?
Yes, there are. Some full episodes have been uploaded to YouTube. For example, there's one from 1984 featuring performers like Susan Alfara and Michael McGifford. It's a great way to get a feel for what the show was really like, questionable lighting, hit or miss sound quality and all.
I'm definitely going to have to check that out. But I'm curious, you mentioned this was a public access show. For our younger listeners, can you explain what that means?
Sure thing. Public access television was a form of non-commercial broadcasting mandated by law in many areas. The idea was to give ordinary citizens and community organizations access to television production facilities and airtime on cable systems. It was like the YouTube of its day, a platform where anyone could potentially create and broadcast content.
So if public access TV was the YouTube of its day, how do you think shows like Stairway to Stardom compare to today's viral content?
Well, that's an interesting question. In some ways, shows like this have been replaced by social media and streaming platforms. But I think there's still a hunger for authentic, unpolished content. We see it in the popularity of certain TikTok trends or viral YouTube videos. People are drawn to content that feels real and relatable, even if it's not professionally produced.
That's true, but there's something special about the communal aspect of Stairway to Stardom, isn't there? It wasn't just about individual performances, but about creating a space for local talent to come together.
Exactly. It was a reflection of its community in a way that's harder to replicate online. These weren't just random people from all over the world. They were your neighbors, the people you might see at the grocery store or on the subway. There was a sense of local pride and community support that came through in every episode.
That local flavor must have been part of its appeal. I'm wondering, though, did the show have any kind of lasting impact on the New York entertainment scene?
While it didn't launch any major careers that we know of, I think its impact was more subtle. It provided a platform for people who might never have had the chance to perform on television otherwise. And who knows, it might have been the spark that encouraged some participants to pursue their passions further.
That's a lovely thought. Sometimes just having someone believe in you and give you a chance can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And now, decades later, they're getting a second moment in the spotlight as new audiences discover the show. It's a reminder that you never know how your creative efforts might resonate with people, even years down the line. Some of these performers might be grandparents now, showing their grandkids their moment of TV fame.
It's also a testament to the power of preserving cultural artifacts, even those that might seem insignificant at the time. Without someone taking the time to digitize and upload these old episodes, we might have lost this quirky piece of New York history forever.
That's so true. It makes you wonder what other forgotten gems are out there, waiting to be rediscovered. Stairway to Stardom is just one example of the rich tapestry of local amateur entertainment that existed before the internet age.
And in a way, by talking about it now, we're continuing its legacy. We're introducing it to a new audience who might never have heard of it otherwise.
Exactly. It's like we're extending that stairway to stardom into the 21st century. It's a reminder that culture is a continuum, and even the most obscure corners of our shared history can find new relevance and meaning over time.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe this resurgence of interest will inspire a new generation of performers to create their own versions of Stairway to Stardom. After all, the dream of stardom is still very much alive today.
Well, that's a great point. While the platforms may have changed, the fundamental desire to showcase talent and pursue dreams remains the same. Whether it's on a public access show in a Staten Island basement or a TikTok video shot in a bedroom, people will always find ways to express themselves and reach for the stars.
And that's what makes shows like Stairway to Stardom so enduringly fascinating. They remind us of our shared humanity and the universal desire to be seen and appreciated for our talents, whatever they may be.
Couldn't have said it better myself. As we wrap up, I think the key takeaway is to appreciate these cultural time capsules for what they are: authentic snapshots of human aspiration and creativity. Whether it makes us laugh, cringe, or feel nostalgic, Stairway to Stardom has earned its place in the annals of pop culture history.
And who knows? Maybe someday, decades from now, People will look back on our current social media trends with the same mix of amusement and appreciation. It just goes to show that you should never be afraid to put yourself out there. You never know who might be watching or when.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the weird and wonderful world of Stairway to Stardom. Until next time, keep reaching for those stars, no matter how distant they might seem. And remember, every great performance starts with a first step onto the stage, or in this case, into a Staten Island basement. Oh wait, producer Ryan wanted to say that it's very creepy. And when he watched it he was expecting Chris Hansen to come out from behind the curtains and do his own performances, if you get my drift.
Ay, ay, ay.
Gen FM Story 3.
Voodoo rituals in a funeral home? It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but today we're diving into a real-life case that'll make your skin crawl.
Oh, wow, you've got my attention. What on earth are we talking about, Wagner?
Well, buckle up, Art, because we're heading to Bradenton, Florida, where in 1998 a shocking discovery was made that would send ripples through the community. It all started with the death of 70-year-old Willie Suttle in 1997. Now, you'd think a man's passing would be treated with dignity, but what happened to Suttle's remains is nothing short of horrifying.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but what exactly happened?
Instead of a proper burial, Suttle's body was wrapped in a green tarp, placed in a cardboard box, and buried in an unmarked grave. No family, no friends, no ceremony. But that's just the beginning of this macabre tale.
That's absolutely heartbreaking. How could something like this happen?
Well, that's where our story takes a dark turn. Suttle's body ended up at Green's funeral home, owned by 45-year-old Paula Green Albritton. But instead of preparing the body for a dignified burial, Albritton had, other plans. Brace yourself, because what I'm about to tell you is truly disturbing.
Oh no, I'm getting a bad feeling about this. What did she do?
Police investigations revealed that Albritton used Suttle's body in a voodoo ritual. She allegedly placed small dolls into his chest cavity and poked the body with pins. And if that wasn't horrifying enough, Albritton's son, 23-year-old Jimmy Lee Clark, is accused of participating in the ritual by cutting off Suttle's left hand.
Wait, what? Are you serious? That's beyond disturbing. It's downright evil. How could anyone do something so horrific?
I know, it's hard to fathom. And here's where it gets even more twisted. The motive behind this gruesome act wasn't just some sick fascination with the occult. No, it was all about money.
Money? How does desecrating a corpse translate to financial gain? I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this.
Well, according to the police, the ritual was designed to help the failing funeral home. Green's funeral home had been in the family for generations, passed down from Albritton's father to her mother and then to her. But apparently, the business was struggling. So instead of seeking financial advice or improving their business practices, they turned to voodoo.
So they thought mutilating a deceased person's body would somehow improve their business? That's beyond comprehension.
It really is. And you have to wonder about the desperation that would drive someone to such extremes. But regardless of their motivations, the fact remains that they violated not only the law, but also the trust placed in them by grieving families.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine how the families who used this funeral home must have felt when this news broke. Did they exhume other bodies to check for similar desecrations?
The article doesn't mention any other exhumations, but it's a chilling thought, isn't it? It wasn't until almost a year later that the truth about Suttle's body came to light. In July 1998, Bradenton police exhumed Suttle's body and made the grisly discovery.
I can't even imagine what that must have been like for the police officers involved. How did they even know to look?
Thanks to new breakthroughs in DNA testing, the police were able to trace the remains back to Willie's autopsy. Now, after the discovery, things moved quickly. Just 3 weeks after the exhumation, Suttle was finally given the burial he deserved.
Well, at least there's some small comfort in that. Can you tell us about the proper burial?
Sure. On Wednesday, July 15, 1998, Willie Suttle was laid to rest in the presence of his family. A police department chaplain conducted a short Christian service, giving Suttle the dignity he was denied in death. And interestingly, he was buried in the same plot at New Memphis Cemetery in Palmetto, where he had been initially buried on July 2, 1997.
That must have been an incredibly emotional moment for his family. To find out what happened to their loved one, and then to finally be able to say goodbye properly.
Absolutely. You know, this story raises so many questions about our treatment of the dead, the trust we place in funeral homes, and the desperate lengths some people will go to when faced with financial trouble.
It really does. On one level, it's about respect for the deceased and their families. But it also speaks to the pressures small businesses face, the allure of superstition in times of desperation, and the importance of oversight in the funeral industry.
Exactly. Most of us don't think twice about what happens after we hand over a loved one's remains to a funeral home. We assume everything will be handled professionally and ethically. This case really shatters that assumption.
That's a chilling thought. I would hope that this case led to some reforms, or at least increased scrutiny in the industry. Do we know what happened to Albritton and her son after this discovery?
From what I remember hearing about this story on YouTube, Paula's son Jimmy pleaded no contest and ended up serving 1 year in jail. Paula said that as an American citizen, she was practicing her religious beliefs as a voodoo practitioner. Paula ultimately ended up using this defense in court. When it was all said and done, I believe Paula did not serve any time in jail. The news article doesn't provide information about the legal consequences for Albritton and Clark. However, given the severity of their actions, it's safe to assume they faced serious criminal charges. Desecration of a corpse is a felony in most states, not to mention the fraud implications of their actions.
Why am I not surprised? It makes me wonder about the psychological impact on the families who used this funeral home for other loved ones. Even if their relatives weren't subjected to the same treatment, the doubt and fear must be overwhelming.
That's an excellent point.
Yes, sir? Yes, that concludes our YouTube Stories segment for tonight. Thank you, Wagner, for sharing those fascinating tales with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure sharing those stories with the audience.
Great. Get ready for a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to open up the Digital Den chat room. AI listeners, this is your chance to speak up. Take this opportunity to interact and ask me and my guests anything you'd like. Keep listening for some exciting moments ahead. All right, folks, we'll be right back.
Midnight at the Oasis, sing your camel to bed. Shadows painting our faces, traces of romance in our hands. Heaven's holding a half moon, shining just for us. Let's slip off to a sand dune real soon. Kick up a little dust. Come on, cactus is our friend. He'll point out the way. Come on, till the evening ends. You don't have to answer. There's no need to speak.
Pickles, sauce, lettuce, cheese, and there's pickles. No,
Pickles, cheese, oh,
lettuce and onion, sesame, all seed bun.
I think they're describing a big...
Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Say that again.
Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, onions, pickles, onions on a list.
McDonald's Big Mac, the big sandwich with the great big taste that everybody's talking about.
Sesame seed bun, and we forgot the onions.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did say onion.
Are you sure?
It said onion.
All right.
Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
McDonald's Big Mac, the great big sandwich with a great big taste.
Special sauce, lettuce, pickles, cheese. Hey, that's a...
Big Mac.
You deserve a break today at McDonald's.
Where your dollar gets a break every day.
Or out.
9 Lives presents Morris, Ready for a boat ride, Morris?
I wouldn't trust that thing in the bathtub.
We'll eat on board.
Sinking ships affect my appetite.
Oh, don't be finicky. I brought 9 lives.
I can't let her sail that thing alone.
Tuna and chicken or seafood platter.
9 live seafood platter. Anchors away.
9 lives. Nutritious foods cats really like. Even Morris.
I'd walk the plank for 9 lives.
Ladies, you can't squeeze the Charmin.
But this isn't Charmin, Mr. Whipple. This is new Charmin. Even more squeezably soft.
But
You can see, feel, and hear the difference. See the bigger puffs of softness?
You can feel the difference. Feel how much softer.
You can even hear. It's
enough.
really...
No matter how irresistibly soft, please don't squeeze the new Charmin.
Mr. Whipple.
Introducing new Charmin. So much softer you can see, feel, and hear the difference. New soft fragrance, too.
Light-Bright, the toy that lets you create beautiful pictures with light. Work with colorful pegs that glow with light, light bulb not included. Make people, animals, things, and with refills, Bugs Bunny or Bozo the Clown. You can make lots of pretty pictures with Light-Bright from Hasbro.
My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Oscar Mayer, the first name in Bologna.
How's that?
Please, take him out.
Mr. Green? Mr. Green?
Yeah.
You need any help? I just want you to know, I think you're the best ever.
Yeah, sure.
Want my Coke? It's okay, you can have it.
No.
Really, you can have it.
Okay.
A Coke and a smile makes me feel good. Makes me feel nice. See you around. That's the way it should be. I like to see
Hey, kid.
the whole world smiling with me. Coca-Cola has smile. Have a Coke and
Thanks, Mean Joe.
smile.
This is the end of part 4.